This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starantino. After a string of crimes, residents of an East Side neighborhood are asking the city for working streetlights.
Tonight, they're turning to RTV6 to make sure it happens. RTV6's Troy Washington is working to get answers.
Eastside residents say they're missing something here. They believe more light could drive crooks away. Broken streetlights seem to keep bringing the bad guys to Bauer Street, making residents reach their boiling point over what's done in the dark.
They broke in my niece's car and stole her work backpack and her prescription glasses. This only protects our small area of our driveway, but we're concerned about the neighbors too.
Amy Guerrero says one working street light on the entire street won't cut it, and she's going as far as installing motion floodlights on her home in the meantime, as she waits on the city to respond to her request for more street lights. Angela McGinnis lives just one street over on 19th Street. She's having the same problem, low lights drawing the wrong crowd. The crime issue hit home for her when police knocked on her door and told her a brick from her home was used to commit a crime. She too believes the car break-ins would calm down if more streetlights went up. Working for you on the East Side, Troy Washington, RTV6.
If you have a problem and need help getting action or answers, reach out to RTV6. Contact us at workingforyou@rtv6.com.
Teachers and principals are learning how to take a different approach to disciplining students. Traditionally, students face punishments like suspensions and expulsions. The Positive School Discipline Initiative kicked off a year-long training for more than a dozen schools and providers. The goal is to help students with behavioral problems by addressing the underlying cause, such as trauma.
It's the deep work of really shifting mindset with teachers, making sure that teachers aren't looking at just the behavior but the student, and how can we get beyond this behavior, really work with this child and move them along. And that's deep work. It is mindset shifting with people who sometimes didn't grow up in the same environment that some of our students did.
Participating schools include charter schools like the Invent Learning Hub, as well as IPS in Warren Township. The training costs schools $4,500 to train 7 employees for a year, and workers are then encouraged to train their colleagues.
Taking a live look outside, a clear and cold night, and temperatures will be dropping.
Let's check in with Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory.
And you guys are on to something cold, colder, and then coldest. We've got all of those to talk about. Not necessarily just all in one night. 30, that's your temperature in New Powell. Greenfield at 31. Everybody around the freezing mark. Temperatures this afternoon much colder than yesterday. That north wind has our attention, and it will continue to drop these temperatures. One of the keys, mid-afternoon, we've started to clear the sky, and with the clouds leaving and the wind calming down, temperatures will continue to fall. Headed down to the lower 20s tomorrow morning. Lower 20s in Indianapolis. Think 18 anywhere from Peru over to Marion, Muncie, 19 in Lafayette, Delphi, Logansport, 22 in Indy, and cooler down toward Bloomington. Let's talk about tomorrow. A mixture of clouds and sunshine. We don't really warm up from that cold start. Temperatures just into the mid-30s. The wind will not be as strong, generally at about 5 miles per hour. We've got big changes after one relatively mild day on Sunday. We'll talk about what happens after that coming up.
We are learning new information about a disturbing crime that took place at a Fountain Square church. Investigators say the woman who was found dead on a couch in the Religious Education Center of St. Patrick Catholic Church died from strangulation and stab wounds. The woman was found unresponsive on Sunday morning. IMPD is asking anyone with information to come forward or contact Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS.
A warning from police about a new scam that might pop up on your phone. This one is specific to Newcastle. The police department says people are getting text messages that say Newcastle Police Chief Matt Schofield is conducting an investigation into cell phone scamming. The message asks people to call a phone number where they are told to pay money as part of the investigation. The Newcastle Police Department says it would never do that, but now a real scam investigation is underway. If you think you have been contacted by someone who is trying to take advantage of you, get in touch with law enforcement.
A veteran says a Hamilton County program called Veterans Court helped change his life.
I didn't realize how big of a purpose I felt like I had while I was in the Marines and how little of a purpose I felt like I didn't have when I got out of the Marines.
Veterans Court is a program within the court system that aims to give veterans a second chance after they've committed crimes. Kyle Reynolds spent 4 years in the Marines. After returning home from active duty, he says he developed a drinking problem. Since 2012, he was arrested 5 times, most recently for assaulting an officer and disorderly conduct. When Kyle was serving time, he learned about Veterans Court.
We believe in giving them a second chance. They served our country, and this way, it's a program that can help them with the problems that they created. Most of them were created through the military.
Veterans Court has 3 phases: treatment, education, then growth and graduation. It includes drug and alcohol testing as well as appearances in front of the Veterans Court judge. The program's organizers want more veterans to take advantage of Veterans Court. Since it began in 2015, 25 veterans have graduated from the program.
Helping women build careers, create companies, and live rewarding lives. That's the goal of the Indiana Conference for Women. We stopped by today and learned thousands showed up for this year's event at the Indiana Convention Center. The idea is to build a strong ecosystem within Indiana that helps women build professional lives. One of the co-founders of the conference says every year the numbers grow, and it's exciting to see more females taking the lead.
We have well over 2,000 women here. We've grown 20% every year. It's an exciting time, and the future is female.
Ever since its first year in 2010, the Indiana Conference for Women has grown to be the largest one-day event for professional and entrepreneurial women in the Midwest.
Hiring Hoosiers is RTV6's way of keeping you up to speed on all the jobs and career resources our area has to offer. Today, young adults and teens got the chance to see those resources firsthand. The Office of Public Health and Safety teamed up with the community to host this event at the Indianapolis Public Library Eagle Branch. The idea is to provide young people who aren't in the school system with pathways to opportunity and alternatives to crime and violence. And organizers say today's attendees are excited about those opportunities.
For one, it's people that understand that they need help, you know what I'm saying? And you know, a lot of young people are embarrassed or ashamed because they don't fit the norm, what society fits. So we was able to bring providers together to encourage those young people, like, you do fit the norm. Just because your story is different from other people's story doesn't make you any different.
This resource fair is part of the city's public safety strategy that includes a violence intervention team of peacemakers and grants for neighborhood groups. Indianapolis leaders say the city is investing almost $4 million this year to prevent crime. Coming up here on RTV6, an Indiana lawmaker is playing a big role in the ongoing impeachment inquiry. What Congressman Andre Carson says he hopes you'll learn from next week's public hearings.
Plus, a little bit later, saying goodbye to this man who lived to tell the tale of the USS Indianapolis. This is the news at 7 on RTV6.
RTV6 is working for you.
Welcome back to the news at 7 here on RTV6. We're learning more from an advisor to Vice President Mike Pence about the phone call between President Trump and the president of Ukraine.
This as Capitol Hill prepares for a big week in its first public hearings in the impeachment inquiry. ABC's Serena Marshall has the latest.
The vice president defending his boss in the impeachment inquiry.
There was no quid pro quo. The president did nothing wrong.
As an aide to his office, Jennifer Williams testifies on Capitol Hill, answering questions about that infamous July 25th call she was also listening in on as a longtime State Department employee. Her closed-door testimony occurring as the president's Secretary of State ducked a question on whether he ignored pleas from one-time top aide Michael McKinley to publicly back the former ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, after the president called her bad news on the call with Ukraine's leader.
I haven't had the chance. It's a pretty busy world out there. Haven't had a chance to follow this.
In released transcripts, McKinley states he appealed to Pompeo 3 separate times to help Yovanovitch, a claim Pompeo denied just last month.
I never heard him say a single thing about his concerns with respect to the decision.
So you were now saying?
Also, it's not surprising that when Ambassador Yovanovitch returned to the United States that he didn't raise that issue with me. It shouldn't surprise anyone that in May, when that took place, he didn't say a thing to me.
But McKinley told lawmakers the conversation occurred between the release of the call notes in early September and when he resigned at the end of the month. Next week, the first public hearings begin, and the American people will be able to hear for themselves. But the president now suggesting former Vice President Biden and his son be called to testify. But even one of his chief defenders says
he wants them called in the trial. Yes.
Oh, well, we'll make that decision, not the president.
And we've now learned from multiple sources that Democrats are considering drafting as many as 3 articles of impeachment against the president, including contempt of Congress, obstruction of justice, and abuse of power. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
The member of Congress who represents much of Indianapolis will be a key part of those impeachment hearings next week.
Democratic Congressman Andre Carson serves on the House Intelligence Committee. That committee is hearing most of the testimony on accusations that the president wanted to withhold military aid to Ukraine unless the country's president investigated Trump's political opponents. Carson says the hearings will give the public the chance to see the evidence for themselves.
They'll see a line of questioning coming from staff and a few members like myself and others. But my hope is that the questions being displayed before the public will give people a real-time feeling and sense to be able to make their own conclusion about this administration and its excess.
Carson says his criticism does not extend to his fellow Hoosiers. Vice President Mike Pence. Carson called Pence a patriot and says he is confident Pence will, quote, do what's right for the American people.
Coming up, a Georgia family is sharing their experience bringing 2 older children into their lives in honor of National Adoption Month.
And we'll put a day of the week to these big numbers. Well, one of them's big, 53. I think you'll enjoy that. I'm not sure quite about this. We'll talk about near record lows as well coming up.
For less at Ross. Yes, for less.
This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Art Lienerman was just 17 years old when he enlisted in the Navy for the Second World War, shortly after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor.
The Illinois native also was one of more than 300 sailors who survived when the USS Indianapolis was sunk by a Japanese torpedo near the end of the war. Lienerman clung to a floater net for more than 96 hours in the Pacific Ocean before he and his shipmates were rescued.
The USS Indianapolis Survivors Group says Art Lienerman died this week. He was 95 years old. There are now only 11 survivors of the sinking of the USS Indianapolis still with us.
Bringing a new child into your home is a huge undertaking.
And it can come with a different set of challenges when you're adopting an older child.
This Adoption Awareness Month, our Elizabeth Ruiz is exploring the need for more people to welcome older kids into their lives.
All right, so we're doing boys versus girls? Is that how we're doing this? All right.
This Georgia family has been together for 2 years. Siblings Mark and Lexi spent 4 years in foster care, but that all changed when they came to stay with Tom and Deborah Crittenden.
The stars were aligned for us to adopt Mark and Lexi. They were literally the only kids we ever fostered, the only kids we ever met in the process. So it kind of seemed like, you know, they're our kids.
However, an adoption story like this one is not very common. Most people want to adopt babies, and at the ages of 15 and 17, Mark and Lexi almost aged out of the foster care system.
Hi, Daniel. This is Kimberly Offit calling from Bethany Christian Services.
Kimberly Offit is the National Foster Care Adoption Director with Bethany Christian Services. She says the doors to the foster care system close to children once they reach the age of 18, leaving them in a very vulnerable position.
More than 10% of the kids who age out of foster care haven't even graduated from high school. Within 2 to 3 years, those children could end up homeless, incarcerated, where another system is now raising them. 7 out of 10 of the young women actually have children that, guess what, end up back in the foster care system. Our teenagers recognize that the clock is literally ticking. Every birthday isn't a celebration. It is another year that they recognize, if I don't find a forever family, what's going to happen to me?
Office says a majority of U.S. children in foster care are between the ages of 8 and 14, and the number of children in foster care continues to rise. The only hope in changing that statistic comes from families willing to take a leap like the Crittendens.
It's just such a shame because it's such a hindrance for these kids who age out of the system and don't have that support network for the rest, not just to get them through high school or college or whatever, but for the rest of their life.
We're not bad. People always stereotype us saying that we're like we have trouble and that we're bad and stuff and how we're like disobedient, and that's not the case. It's actually like what our parents did. That's why we're in foster care. Like most of us are in foster care for what our parents did, not for what we did.
They've been given a new start with a new family, Deborah says she loves introducing the kids to new experiences they've never had before.
We've taken them on trips. We were with them the first time they ever got on an airplane. We took them over to see the Grand Canyon in Sedona and ended up in Vegas. And then we took them out of the country to see the Caribbean. We went on a cruise about a month ago now, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's fun watching them experience new things that they wouldn't have had access to.
Mark and Lexi say they'd like to see other foster kids have the same opportunity.
To find someone that actually cares for them.
Yeah.
To let them know that they are loved.
If not you, who? And if not now, when?
In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Elizabeth Ruiz reporting.
And as part of National Adoption Month, the Indiana Adoption Program is holding a celebration on November 22nd. You can learn more information at theindychannel.com.
Airbnb is taking some major steps to ensure your safety. This comes after a deadly shooting at a rental in California and a Vice News investigation which revealed widespread scams on the site. The company CEO says they will review all 7 million listings by the end of next year. They're going to use a variety of tools to verify renters and their properties. Guests will also have access to a new hotline which will connect them with a customer service rep 24/7. Airbnb has hired law enforcement experts to help train staff and start the verification process.
Now Kevin Gregory joins us with a cold forecast.
Cold and will get colder, but sandwiched in between is one day. One day where temperatures get into 50s. Saturday is not bad. We'll get to that.
Okay.
You can see what happens Friday and Monday, cold days, and then right in the middle, Saturday and Sunday, nice timing. Temperatures will at least climb Sunday into the 50s, still staying below the average of 57 for this time of year, but we'll take it. It's uphill. You can see what's happening. And then the fall is pretty dramatic on into Tuesday morning. As part of that transition with the strong cold front, likely to see some light snow and snow showers. There may be some minor accumulations with the system as it moves through. Not expecting anything big at this point. Just another sighting of some snow and an indication that we're tiptoeing into winter. 14 is the record low Tuesday morning, 1911. I always think of Ray Haroon, the first winner of the 500. I think that was in 1911. 17, our predicted low temperature. And then on Wednesday, 15 in the morning. A little colder. Skies will be clear. Wind will be light. We missed the record by a few degrees. Temperature now, that's the temperature and wind chill. 31 in Indianapolis. It feels like the lower 20s. That's been pretty consistent. Tomorrow morning, obviously, it will feel like the teens. So the kids headed out to the bus stop, it will be dry, but upper teens to lower 20s to start the morning. The wind will be much calmer through the day tomorrow in general. By lunchtime, we're at 32, a mixture of clouds and sunshine. Afternoon high, optimistically, mid-30s. That really about does it across the state. The wind being lighter, and we have more sunshine from start to finish. That will help. Friday night football. Temperatures drop into the 20s during the game. Northwest breeze 5 to 10 miles per hour. As we mentioned over the weekend, second half of the weekend, the warmer half will pick up more clouds. As we get to Sunday night, the cold front will be just off to our northwest, and overnight a 20% chance for some rain and snow. Then I think as the colder air settles in on Monday, that becomes primarily snow showers. Strong wind Saturday, gusting to 20 miles per hour, but notice it's out of the southwest, a warmer direction. That will start the trend to get our temperatures into the 50s on a Sunday. Highs through the day Saturday in the mid-40s. Here's your 7-day forecast. We put it all together for you. Once we warm up to Sunday afternoon, then temperatures fall downhill all day Monday. We wake up to 17 on Tuesday, 15 degrees on Wednesday morning. Really, from Monday afternoon through Wednesday afternoon, temperatures will be below freezing at all times through that stretch.
Enjoy the weekend then.
Yes.
Really make
Mentally
the most of
preparing myself now.
Do it now. Thanks, Kevin.
Well, still ahead, 2020 is getting closer. Time to secure your seats for the boys in blue. That's next right here on RTV6.
Ask your doctor about Taltz.
Welcome back. RTV6's Hiring Hoosiers is connecting you to jobs, education, and career resources. Indiana employers are getting national recognition for creating jobs for veterans. The U.S. Department of Labor is presenting Hire Vets Medallion Awards to 12 Indiana companies, including a couple here in the area. Freedom Staffing LLC in Indianapolis, Curtis Construction in Carmel, and Analytical Engineering Inc. in Columbus are all on the list because they demonstrated a commitment to hiring veterans and helping them to develop meaningful long-term careers.
Well, tickets are officially on sale for the 2020 Colts season. The home schedule includes games against the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, Baltimore Ravens, and Cincinnati Bengals. Season tickets come with a lot of perks, so if you're a big fan, it is worth it. And don't forget, for 2019, when the Colts are playing any away games, you can catch one here on RTV6. We've got Monday Night Football, December 16th, when the Colts take on the Saints in New Orleans.
2020, though, right?
That's for the ticket sales. Okay. Yes.
That's another thing you can get me for Christmas.
Season tickets. All right. The list for Amanda is growing.
I was going to get you a helmet and pads and got you suit up.
But you might need mittens.
Probably. We'll see you at 11.
See you at 11.